What a time of, what is it? Wealth and reason? You're in my dreams. Strange powers. I think that's becoming my favorite Magnetic Field song. It's just so good. I don't understand why that guy is just such a amazing lyricist. Really and truly. And just everything he sings is so fucking wry. Ugh. Can't get enough. All right, so we're day 30. And once I get to how many? That's only like a 6-page chapter, which is good. 6 pages is the right length for a chapter. That's what I'm learning as time goes by. There we go. What a golden age. What a time of rice and reason. The investors came, and unhappiness is treason. No, I think it's the consumers came. And it's a good song, man. Strange Powers. I think that everything the Magnetic Fields writes, you have to listen to it like 3 or 4 times before it works. Oh, I recognize it. This guy, so at 509, Blue Onyx is clearly using Hexographer for his Twitch channel overlay. I recognize it because I have used Hexographer. I think it's a good program. Let's see, we got that right there. And then might as well link it in my own thing. So Z-Kill was on the other stream last night, trying to get me to play his song. But I don't think he even requested a song from me. He was a co-pilot in a B-17. What time? He did it at midnight, so he was out of fucking luck. Man, you got problems when Ryan is up in your shit. We'll see what comes of that right there. He just followed me on Twitter too, which is like a dark wind blowing over you, Big Ryan. Jesus. I don't understand why all these online hackers are so drawn to my broadcast. I can barely use a computer myself. Yes, hello everybody. Good morning. Saturday morning, going on like no sleep whatever. Had a terrible fucking night, just atrocious. Least favorite thing ever is when somebody calls me with some personal drama right before a show. Oh. I still haven't made up my mind what I'm going to do about it either. But I mean, what can you do? You know, people are people. So why should it be that we should edit this novel so slowly? At least we're like 10% through. 30 days for 72 pages. You know, if I can. There's no excuse, but it is a full rewrite. So if you haven't been here before, let me just give you the lowdown and remind myself of what I'm trying to do right here. So let me see. I think this is our note right here. So this is an epic fantasy adventure. Wow, there's some. My fucking fan woke me up at 2 a.m. by making the juice is loose tapestry brush against the wall. Wow, you're a delicate flower there, G. Yes, hello to Itanchi. You must be from either the Twitch writing Discord or from something. Hold on, were you the guy? Let's see. Let me see. Maybe you just found this through Twitch. Maybe you've been there before. The name is kind of familiar. But let's see. Okay, no, it's a different person that had their nickname as whatever. Oh, right on. Yeah, thank you. So anyhow, we just had 2 chapters in a row where it took a week to rewrite each chapter, and so now I feel like we can slack off a little bit. 1, because I'm in a wretched state this morning, but 2, also because most of the character development work that I wanted to get done is done. And my theory is when you set up your characters the way that you want them, the story is a little bit on autopilot there because the characters a little bit write themselves. If you have a strong character that has clearly defined wants and needs, they really will speak for themselves throughout significant. Like it's so much easier to write for somebody where you know exactly who they are and what they want and so forth. So, in our last scene, Fish and Rigel were running up the river to open up the RAPAXORIS. And they're being pursued by this merry band of characters. In order of competence, they are Yellow Hat the Bard, Stirs the Hook, Revel B. Ramos, and then the daughter of Arath, the Unraveler, El Shala. So I took a glance over this chapter. It's not as bad as I thought. Initially, I thought about cutting this chapter entirely, but there are like a few dope Yellow Hat moves in there that I didn't want to lose. So, and as I look at this, is a much older story. Like this was written between like 7 to 5 years ago. I began it, and then I think I completed work on it maybe in like 2018 or something like that. And I had not put in the heavy-duty editing time there. And the benefits of it is like now I can look through it from the eyes of somebody who is, if not more successful, at least more proficient at editing, definitely by a large thing. And I can just see like huge problems. Like if we look at, it's almost as if it's another person because it's been so long. So we can look at this right away where we start this chapter. They had almost given up hope before they found the campsite that burned out fire surrounding the Ring of Stones. Street black beaks were spent. Look at this sentence, right? This is something that nowadays I would never write. And even when I completed this novel, I would never write a sentence like this. But, yeah. 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 Yellow Hat found the spine worms. Yeah. So that's not all right. So this is a full rewrite. Yeah. So better would be to we're going to cast this chapter strongly into the POV of Yellow Hat, and I think it's the first POV chapter that it'll have gotten. For editing purposes, if I had to do this over again, during my initial read, I would have gone through the story because, like, as a younger writer or whatever, one of the big things that you'll have is point of view confusion. You'll have chapters where the point of view will like jump from one character to another, which is almost always a good idea to avoid doing that if you possibly can. It's just there are definitely, unless you're doing like an experimental like Murakami style narrative, in which case your book is almost certainly going to suck anyway because it's so hard to pull that off. But you know, don't let it stop you. The only way to learn is to fail. Is Yellow Hat's real name George? No. I'm talking about George Washington, the character that's always watching this guy. I think that's a reference that's like flying past me right there. Yeah, he just like is a guy that has a yellow hat. Literally, everybody calls him Yellow Hat. So, oh, curious. So he could be the man with the yellow hat. That's nice. That's nice. I haven't thought about. I used to love those books. They were, yeah. Curious George was definitely my favorite children's book growing up by like a long shot. I like the one where he sniffs up all the ether and gets super fucked up, and then I just did that for all of high school. When I was supposed to be learning about social studies, I had forgotten completely about. But yeah, everything that you think is inside you is just someone else's idea filtered through you. And we even have like a big monkey later on in the story, a really big monkey, like a King Kong style monkey. Hell yeah. So anyhow, just doing an overview of the chapter real quick. A lot of like tense confusion in this chapter, and it's meant to be like a sort of melancholy look into the mind of Yellow Hat, and we just had kind of like a melancholy look into the mind of fish. And it's also a revenge story, but petty revenge here. So it's one where, like, if I was a little sharper today, I would have some good ideas. Um, Jackson or recent? That I don't understand. Yeah, yeah. A lot of your comments are cryptic. I lack the. There's probably like a significant age gap between us because I lack like the immediate ability to like read from context. Oh, Kong size. Yeah, yeah. The I believe that character, and not to like reveal too much, is like one of those infinite scaling size type things. Um, Hold on, let me see. I just have to see if I'm banning this guy. No, not banning him. Okay, recent then. Yeah, the recent one. So I heard that in the new King Kong versus Godzilla or whatever, that they have like some scene of battleships fighting in Manhattan. Um, so I was recently trying to work out how to do a terrorist narrative where terrorists hijack an Iowa class battleship and like ride two of them up either sides of Manhattan and just shell the living shit out of everything in there. But sadly, there was no there was no way to do it. It was just I could not write a plausible story where somebody managed to hijack even one Iowa class battleship. One, they're all mothballed at this point, and then two, it just takes thousands of men to operate those motherfuckers. Yeah, Tom Clancy. The recent one is too big to climb buildings. See, that's like fucked up. You know, King Kong needs to be able to climb the Empire State Building. What are they doing? I'm sure that they had like some throwaway line of dialogue in there where they're like, "He's just continuously grown. He's bigger than ever." Like we thought, you know, the first King Kong was a juvenile or whatever. I don't like I don't like the continual rehashing of old stories, but hmm. Tom Clancy. I don't think he had anything as stupid as fucking battleships shelling Manhattan. And the other thing is, they would do it obviously from like 17 miles away, which is like their operative range to bombard the living shit out of something with those big fucking 3 meter guns. But oh yeah, you do a yeah, they just do like a suitcase nuke or something like that. So even if you hijacked one, you would just sit out in the fucking harbor and pretend that you were going for Fleet Week or some nonsense like that, and then just open up on the city and fire a barrage until they scrambled F-14s or F-22s or whatever they could get from New Jersey and blew up the entire battleship. And you would inflict grievous casualties. But in my mind, the visual effect that I want is like literally like a battleship going up the Hudson, and you can just see it. And it makes more sense to fire from like the tip of Manhattan because like most of the buildings that you want to blow up are down there in the financial district. But something about like just this billows of gun smoke arising from these big ass fucking. How big were the guns? I think they were like half-inch guns or something. Hold on, let's go. I want to refresh my memory on this. Yeah. So the Iowa class, 50 caliber Mark 7 naval guns. Look at these motherfuckers. And every one of them is like a five. They have like these sacks full of gunpowder that they use to fire them, or propellant. I don't think that they can rightly be called gunpowder. And to me, God, look at this turret. Fucking powder hoist, and it takes a crew of like 20 men to keep one of these guys hopping. Um, yeah, I really stretch credulity as to how you would convince 1,000 soldiers or 1,000 sailors to mutiny. The other part is like these guys are all mothballed at this point, so it would have to be. They were still running in the 80s, but even then, it was like a very difficult narrative to make work. But just the idea of two ships going up the fucking East River and the Hudson, shelling the shit out of Manhattan. What a dream. The other one that I couldn't quite make work, although this is one that you could have made work, was a 9/11 style terror attack where they hijacked the space shuttle and crashed it into the White House. I thought that that would have been an amazing bit of symbolic fucketry. However, the space shuttle doesn't have like enough propellant. It's actually not that big, and it just would not have done tremendous damage to the White House. And also getting like sort of the arc to where you actually hit the White House is quite difficult. The trajectory, but yeah, I'm still thinking about it. It really just yeah, the projectile rings and the rotating turret structure. Maybe I'll watch some more documentaries about. They really battleships were like the biggest boondoggle of all time. I think in the history of battleships, they almost always were a net loss for every military that fielded them. They were just so big and so stupid. By the time we were actually in a position to have like real battleship on battleship conflicts, it was fucking already Japan versus the U.S. and like most of what really went down was just air combat. Some ability user wanted to raid the Library of Congress, but got burned down the White House and was disappointed it was the right building. Animated movie. I think I saw something like that. Wait, Read or Die had a great scene. Oh, okay. But Read or Die was like some anime series, right? And then they must have made a movie out of it, like the way that they made like a Cowboy Bebop movie and whatever. I think I remember trying to get into Read or Die, but I just had like a very high threshold for animu. All right, so now that we've blogged incessantly, so let's think about fixing this chapter right here. So this is RAPAXORIS by Zach ZYZ, rewritten by the author, chapter 1.10. Mm-hmm. Movie is a cross. Oh, different characters. It's like a cross between James Bond and X-Men. All right. Yeah, I need a little bit more. Just have a hard time these days because I'm just getting old. So it's harder for me to be like, oh yeah, that guy can psionically tear shit apart. All right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yellow Hat was high as a kite when he found the ring of spine worms. If not for the smoke, he would have kept his mouth shut. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I hope that's right. I hope we didn't point out a campfire earlier. It's been so long since I edited the previous chapter that I need to go back and check and make sure before I make a big deal out of it. Not an ounce of fat on the bard. Light, please. God, what a fucking chapter. That's where they were attacked by this huge swarm of bees. Alright, so this is where... Yeah. Okay, so this is the first sign where they realize that they're on the trail of the thief. He does his Guns N' Roses whistling. And then this is us realizing that Fish has some depth. Honestly, like such a better. If it takes a month to get like this much improvement, it's worth it because it is a fun story. Um, so I like this premise right here, um, because a lot of addiction is saying if only, right? Yeah, like if only I could keep my shit together a little bit. Like, yeah, if only I hadn't had that one drink before I got in the car and garanged those preschoolers. If only like I could just, keep it to like one bump of heroin a day instead of four. There's a lot of that like if only then type situation. And so I like I like Yellow Hat was high as a kite when he discovered the black ring of spine worms. If not for the cane, he wouldn't have said a word to the others. After days of rowing, they'd seen no trace of Rigel or Fish. They were sunburned, stung, and sore, and they lost almost all of their supplies. Mm-hmm. All right, so what kind of fish was the one that was riddled with spine worms? Because we're gonna do a callback to that chapter right there. Gambled in the shallows. Ah, man, I wish I had just written a whole adventure story about just a chase through the woods. I wonder if he could. That would be like a neat challenge. Um, Chasing is like such a elemental part of the psyche because like we got like a lot of persistence hunter in us. I've said this before, but like the number one thing that people dream about, like the number one nightmare that people have, most dreams are leak eater. Yeah. All right. Cool. Burned out leak eater. But anyhow, like most of people's dreams are about being pursued in some way or shape or form. The ones that they can remember, that they would classify as nightmares. I don't remember what percentage of dreams are nightmares, um, but it's the most common thing that people are afraid of. And it's something that I think universally, like a story about a chase, is always interesting. Like whether it's like a posse getting rounded up to like hunt down a criminal, or like Moby Dick, like I just we love pursuit. And I like writing about. You could visualize this scene as like happening in fucking Yellowstone or Big Sur or something like that, where there's gigantic trees and like cascading rivers. I just ordered a game called Cascadia this morning. It looks interesting. Like it's like a little two-player puzzle game that is. I've heard. Just I'm a sucker for these sort of astroturfed reviews where a bunch of nerds are like, "Oh my god, have you played this? Ah, it's so interesting." Yeah, like I always fall for that shit. But it's. I think I had to late back it on Kickstarter to get a hold of it there. But I'm a sucker for any kind of like tile laying puzzle game. Oh yeah, just sign me up. Mm-hmm. All right, that's a little better. Deus. Yeah, there we go. So I want something like a little less than tribulation. Oh, I like onerous right there. After days. Let's see if we can find one that has a D. Days of toiling rowing. It's not Herculean. It's not gargantuan. It's not. Yeah, onerous rowing. Let me make sure that I'm saying onerous right. It's not backbreaking. It's not distressing. And laborious has been used a little bit earlier. So I can say onerous.
Onerous.
Onerous. Okay. I think it's not onerous, but onerous. After days. Mhm. 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 Fuck me. So leak eater is lowercase here because it's an improper noun. It's the same way you would say like trout or something like that. It's just like the name of the fish. Hmm. We really should have a name for the sort of Rakar wilderness that they're in right there. It's just like a few different places I've been like, I should really name this wilderness, but I don't have it on me right here. I need to like kind of think over this whole situation right there because I don't like the nomenclature. Like they're going to High Mountain, and I think we can do like a little bit better. I think that was always like a placeholder type name, and I would like to have. Maybe I should just draw a map of. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna comment task myself. Oh my God. He are. I need to fix that right away. Edit file. Let me look at where's the properties for this guy. I always fucking edit. Start dictation. Is it? Is it the properties of the file? It's not the fucking page setup here. It is. I always hit this fucking. It's like command option there. It's like one of these fucking things that I'm always command L or there we go. It's command and then comma right here. And then so the thing is like you'll always hit fucking command and then comma by accident and then you get stuck into this whole situation right here. Cool. So I like that. So significant. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want something more like Rube. I like Jake. Mm, I want something. Yeah, if you could call them Jijuns, it'd be closer. I think we could call them. Wait, how is melange a synonym for suicide? I've never heard of that. Mm-hmm. Lunkhead. That's like a little bit closer. Where did What's the origin of nincompoop? I really want to know. I know how Nimrod came about, but yeah, where the fuck did nincompoop come from? We can be a little bit more florid with our speech here because Yellow Hat is a bard. Nincompoop, origin uncertain. Um, the first element, ninkum, is possibly from Nicodemus, from the Pharisee named Nicodemus, mentioned in the Bible, who asked Jesus seemingly naive questions. Ninny. Uh, and poop had an obsolete version to fool. Non compos mentis, non sound of my. Oh, I really like that. Non compos mentis. Not of sound mind. All right, it does not correspond. I really like that actually. Yeah, I can't use it in the book, but still. Hold on. What is John 3:1? Let's take a look at. Now there was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a member of the Jewish ruling council. He came to Jesus at night and said, Rabbi, we know you are a teacher who has come from God, for no one could perform the miraculous signs you are doing if God were not with him. In reply, Jesus declared, I tell you the truth, no one can see the kingdom of God unless he is born again. How can a man be born when he is old? Nicodemus asked. Surely he cannot enter a second time into his mother's womb to be born. Jesus answered, I tell you the truth. No one can enter the kingdom of God unless he is born of water and the Spirit. Flesh gives birth to flesh, but Spirit gives birth to spirit. You should not be surprised at my saying, you must be born again. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. How can this be? Nicodemus asked. You are Israel's teacher, said Jesus, and you do not understand these things. I tell you the truth, We speak of what we know, and we testify to what we have seen, but still you people do not accept our testimony. I have spoken to you of earthly things, and you do not believe. How then will you believe if I speak of heavenly things? No one has gone into heaven except the one who came from heaven, the Son of Man. Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the desert, so the Son of Man must be lifted up, that everyone that believes in him may have eternal life. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. So, I gotta say, that's some, like, straight up, I'm what you might call an expert in sophistry, and, glad to have a little blasphemy to start the stream, but yeah, so I like that. I had forgotten that it was Nicodemus that asked, though, because I'm not a big Bible guy for the most part, but I like the idea of nincompoop being derived from Nicodemus and non compos mentis, which I'm pronouncing incorrectly, but interesting shit right there. You can learn a little bit on our editing stream. What folly! Yellow Hat was twice the fool for following them. He ought to know better. I like it. Oh, yeah, not to get too biblical, but honestly, like, not a bad idea to read through that, because American Christians, like the ones that I know that like actually go to church, know about 7 or 8 different passages of the Bible really, really well, and then like a certain percentage, like maybe like 5% of them, will have large sections of it memorized. But everyone who's gone to church at some point, I believe, will know. I just have it because you see it like on bumper stickers, and like just the Book of John is one where a lot of people will have an idea there. So it's really kind of a glaring omission that I didn't know that off the top of my head. So glad we took the time to have our little sermon. I wonder if you can make fishing rods from red myrtles. I must have looked this up. Yeah. Red Myrtle Beach, fishing rods. Myrtle Beach search. Huh. Myrtlewood, broadleaf evergreen, Oregon myrtle. Let's take a look. Umbellularia. So let's. Umbellularia. So this is similar flavor to bay leaves, though stronger, and may be mistaken. Dry wood has a color ranging from blonde to whatever. The tree is a host of the pathogen that causes sudden oak death. California bay laurel, headache tree, mountain laurel. Where does headache tree come from? California laurel, known as a headache tree, causes headache and... Are you serious? What the fuck? Causes migraine and whatever. They discovered that the headache is caused when a bioactive compound released from the leaf of the plant triggers a cascade of around head arteries. A strong aromatic property, alleged headache-causing properties. Vapor from the aromatic leaves causes sinus irritation, sneezing, and headache. Holy shit. Wow. Huh. I'm liking it. Yeah, this is fascinating. I had no idea. I wonder if I ever caught a headache from one of these bay laurels. Because I was always like roaming around and I had some terrible fucking poison oak once. Just because I like, back in the day, I was like, I don't need a trail. I'm just like walking up the side of mountains and stuff. Ooh. What a price I paid. I had no fucking idea. Let me see. Let me just make sure that the red myrtle, red crepe myrtle. Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about right here. Dynamite crepe myrtle. I'm sure that is what I had in mind. Yeah, what does their wood look like? Hardwood, golden brown. Generally easy to work. Pieces with curly grain, difficult to plane and machine without tear out. Doesn't have the blending effect. True satin woods. No characteristic odor. Not poisonous. Huh, it's the curliest wood around. Nearly every piece shows some measure of curly grain. End grain. All right, let's take a look at the end grain right there. 10x end grain. I love that there's just like a website where people are just like, yeah, I want to have every kind of wood up here. This website is also a book, the Wood Database. That's kind of dope, actually. I have like much respect for somebody who compiled a wood database. For a while, I went on like a rabbit hole of watching like wood turning videos and so forth. So let's take a look. All right, so this is Lagerstromia. 50 species of deciduous and shrubs. Bark that sheds through the year. Opposite and simple. Now, what kind of terrain do they grow in, though? All species are woody in nature. Your range and height. You're cut back to allow for new growth. Create murder. What the fuck? The notion that only new growth bears flowers is false. New growth produces more flowers than established one. So there's a rocket. Create myrtle. Seed pods can stain concrete. I don't like that people were so worried about their concrete getting stained. All right, well, it's not the end of the world to use a. I don't think a red myrtle is actually a. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was a story as old as time. Yeah, I think that's too much. I do like it was a song as old as time. Maybe I can do some kind of because I got high type situation. What was it? It was um I don't want to do. As always. Still, the blackened bones on the campfire gave him an idea. I want something that means like stagnant. What's the name for the still part of a river? Glossary of river terminology. Gavion engaging station glide. Huh. Section of a stream that has little or no turbulence. It's getting closer. Oh, I know, like, the person who proofread this book, Zeros, right here, would know immediately. His whole life was about bodies of water and the creatures that inhabit them. Liminality. I feel like I should just know this, but I don't. Meander is the winding of a stream channel, usually in an erodible alluvial valley, a series of sign-generated curves characterized by a curved flow and alternating banks and shoals. You can use shoals and river? Oh, I should just go through this whole thing. Yeah, some of these words are natural flow, nick point, non-cohesive soil, overblank flow, outfall, off-channel area, an oxbow. Oh, I like that. Yeah, an oxbow is an abandoned meander in a river or stream. And we talked about oxen earlier in the story. What is an oxbow? Yeah. So this is it where like this yeah, this stretch right over here. River creates all right, so an oxbow lake forms. Yeah, these little guys right here. A horseshoe lake or an oxbow lake there hues. The bulges on the border reflect changes in the course of the river where the river has shifted course. Neat. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Drifting on the surface of an oxbow. Mm-hmm. Cool. As always. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. Cool. Besides the clothes on his back and his clay pipe, Yellow Hat's only possession was a twist of fishing line. Wrapped it around an iron hook, jabbed into a cork plug. jabbed into a bit of cork with line round around it. He'd tried to sell it for Kane a dozen times. He'd tried to sell the hook for Kane a dozen times, but no one would oblige. It was bad luck to take a man's last hook. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I like that. It's a good start to the chapter. I do have to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do with myself for the rest of the weekend there. But yeah, a good little stab at the chapter and about 2 pages of rewriting right there. And good progress too. Like in terms of like a pace, I know where I want to go with the chapter. I know what I want to say about the character. And we're able to like fix some of that tense confusion and give it like a little bit more of his like point of view flavor. When I do the next pass of this guy, I want to make him like a little bit more wistful in general. So his character traits should be just like the fact that he's dissolute. He has surrendered himself like fully into like he's just become like a complete addict. And with it, he's like, what are you gonna fucking do? This is who I am. This is what I have become. And there's no real use in struggling. You just let the river kind of carry you along. And so he should have like this sort of drifting sense of acceptance, which we've shown a little bit in some of his reactions, but I think it can be further reinforced. And on top of that, there has to be a hint that he recognizes that something has been lost and will never be regained. And we don't touch on that nearly enough. Just the sense that he is ruined. Very similar in a way to the way that Fish has like that sense of something lost and never regained. And if anything, there's a problem that these two chapters are very close to each other, and they're hitting kind of similar notes of sorrow and so forth. But in the narrative, there's no real way to break them up without just interjecting like a thing where like you could have a story about the river itself, which is something that I did in Xan and Ink, where I needed to break up 2 chapters, and I just did a chapter that was nothing but there's really only like 2 pages. So when you want to do that, and I'm not sure that this is a great technique or whatever, but I just took like 2 pages and just described the jungle that they were in as kind of like a character. And to me, it was like a powerful note in the story, but it's very easy to overdo. I don't think it's really appropriate here for here. I think we're just going to have to let these 2 chapters sit side by side. And I think the development of Yellow Hat is valuable enough that like maybe we can use it as contrast or something, but we already did that with another note. So thinking about the structure, but overall, I think this chapter is a keep, and I think it's not going to be too hard to fix. All right. Well, thank you to anybody who soldiered through it early on a Saturday morning. Now I have to go deal with something very unpleasant. But good luck to everybody. Have a good Saturday, and I'm not sure if you'll see